One of the questions I get asked a lot is why? Why do I do the crafts that I do when they aren't necessary anymore? Why put up with all the tedious details when machines can already do what I do, but better? I remember when I first started weaving and spinning, I found this questioning discouraging. The why was never something I could easily explain. There were too many things. There was the history I felt in my hands, the connection to my ancestors. There was the very tactile component of all the different feelings and sights and smells. There was the magic of watching fabric be created before my eyes, or yarn for that matter. There was the grounding that I felt as I used my whole body to create something new. It was so hard to put these things into words, and a lot of times I would just respond very timidly with, "Oh, just because I like to." But internally, I was always so embarrassed by this answer. Embarrassed that I didn't have something good enough to respond with. It took me a long time of questioning myself, of saying to myself, why? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I craft? And why do I feel embarrassed when people question me? Before I really realized that saying because I like to is reason enough. It's good enough to just enjoy doing something. Whether or not a machine can do the different crafts that I do has nothing to do with the value that I find in setting up a project. Whether or not I am good enough to rival a computer doesn't change the joy I feel in the moment. A hobby is a hobby. What you get out of it shouldn't be determined by the metrics we use currently for the industrial world, because we aren't doing our hobbies, or at least I'm not doing my hobbies for mass production. I'm doing them for the value that I get out of it, and that is perfectly okay. It's for my mental health and my happiness, not for making a paycheck. And if you do make a paycheck off of it, that's perfectly fine too, but what I'm speaking to is this sort of pressure that we put on ourselves to make everything that we do productive and logical and valuable, when sometimes that value has nothing to do with the monetary gain or how logical it is to do it. It's just about the art and the joy. I do realize now that I have been in the textile world for quite a bit, and I have spent a lot of time reading and working on my own, that I have many luxuries as a weaver in the modern day world that many people before us did not. For one thing, I have endless time for each project. And for another, I don't have to worry about anything I make really being sound or hardy. I would like it to be durable, but let's be real, I'm not making a ship sail anytime soon. Within my lifetime, maybe, but I highly doubt that that's something on the table for me. So embracing weaving and spinning and all these things more as an art form is something I have the luxury to do. And for me personally, I find that the bulk of the value I get out of textiles is through experimentation and through treating it more as an art form than anything practical. So I am going to embrace this. I'm going to embrace this stage of my artistic journey and focus on just letting myself flow with the art. Not worrying about whether or not I could rival a computerized Dobby loom. Not worrying about exactly how perfect my weave structure is. I mean, technique will come into it with some things, of course, but just experiencing my textiles in a way that I haven't really let myself do previously, because I was so worried about all these details and about all the judgment. So I'm going to go ahead and take my time with this next phase of slaying my reed. This part is one of my favorite parts of weaving. It can be very meditative, it's very grounding and relaxing, but it also helps me get to know my whole project and the yarn that I'm using. Sometimes I rush through this because I get so focused on just producing a finished piece. And then I always regret it because it's one of my favorite parts of the process and I didn't get to savor it. This time though, while I'm making the shawl that I plan to use during my wedding week, I am going to savor it. So why don't you go ahead and grab a work in progress and work along with me as we just take a few peaceful moments to really embrace our hobbies and the joys that we get from them. Hello again. We are at day 3 of this project and we still are not at the weaving yet. I think a lot of times with some projects, or some crafts rather, we don't really know what all goes into it before we get the finished project, and many people that are experienced in weaving will tell you that majority of your craft time isn't even the weaving part, it's in the setup, and that's very true. I finally have my reed slayed, meaning I have my threads separated into the ones that will be raised when I move my heddle up versus the ones that will stay below. And now I have to go ahead and tie everything onto this beam so that I have a good tension. This can take a bit, and mainly that's because I am counting out how many threads to be in each bunch, and the number of threads, while seemingly trivial, does actually matter. In this case, I am hoping for getting about 12 to 13 per bundle, and that's going to be what I use to make sure that the tension is pretty even across. For the middle parts, this doesn't matter as much because my middle parts of my cloth will have the most tension on them. But when we come to the edges, it will play a big role. So I'll need to take a lot of time in counting out the last bundles to make sure that they're not too big to where I don't have enough tension on them, or that they're too small, meaning that they'll slip. Getting this part of the setup done right in the beginning will mean the difference between my weave falling apart while I'm going through versus actually having a good finished project. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on this, and I'll check back in with you in a little while. Half and half. I think there's still some of my things. Oh. Don't know. I just stick my hand in the box in the dark and don't look.
How do you stick your hand in the dark when there's not enough room for your hand to go in?
I shove it in.
Okay.
It's more of a surprise that way. I just go.
That explains why you didn't realize that there was only 2 more coffee filters.
No, I look at that one. I was just not paying attention with the coffee filters. But with the half and half, I don't look.
There's only 2 half and half packets.
Well, that's fine. That's enough.
For you.
But then, to get real personal for a minute.
So it's enough for me.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll have an awesome coffee tomorrow anyways.
That's true, because you have the espresso. But, to explain my madness a little bit, so like with that half and half box, I always stick my hand in the dark and I don't look, and I like grab something, right? because it feels like more of a surprise, even though I know the only thing in the box is half and half, but it feels more exciting to start my morning that way.
Yeah.
But then in the back of my head, I always have that thought of, what if there's a spider in there?
Yeah, what if there's
And then I just have to push the thought away and go, we don't think about it. We don't think about the spiders.
What if there's the walking spider?
Oh, you hush. Don't bring that up. But anyway, so that's what's going on in my head. And here's the finished setup. I thought I was going to be able to get the design part of this project into this video, as well as maybe some weaving, but as time went on, I realized that was actually going to make things really long, so I've broken that up into another video that will be coming really soon, where I'll break down my design decisions and what the weave looks like, and maybe the cutoff project as well. Thank you all again for watching this week as I show you the next steps of this project. I hope to see you all next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye. There you go, take it. Yeah, get it. Almost there. If only he'd figure out that he could use his paws to like flip it over instead of just pushing it with his face around the room. You know? Yay! You got one! Good job! Yay! Oh, good boy! You got it! Come here! There's no more. There's no more. Good job, Oz! Good job!